Welcome to Menu Planning Saturday. We are back at it again. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm really scrounging around, really paying attention to what's in the freezer, what's in the fridge, what's in the pantry. I hurt my finger. Anyway, making sure the odds and ends of ingredients are getting used up and not going to waste, because it takes gas to get to the grocery store and prices are high right now for things, as well as we're finding some things just aren't in the stores. So I was trying to be as meticulous as I can with our menu planning, using what we have, with only needing to buy maybe some odds and ends of fresh ingredients. So let's see what we're gonna have next week. Chicken and rice casserole. I have some cooked chicken that I froze, that was left over, and you can freeze rice. It doesn't heat up the greatest just to use as like straight rice, but it's perfectly fine to use in like baking casserole dishes. So when I have a lot of leftover rice that I know is not going to get used in time, I freeze it and I use it in casserole dishes. And chicken and rice casserole is pretty basic, and you can throw in the mixed frozen veggies. It says I'm going to throw in some canned veggies. Quick and easy, simple, definitely just using what we have. This is one meal where I have part of the items on hand. It's haluski. It's cabbage and ham, and I have some frozen ham steaks, so all I need to get are the egg noodles and the cabbage, and those are fairly economical ingredients compared to others. Another bare bones basic type of meal. If you're ready for another bare bones basic struggle meal, kidney beans and rice casserole. This one does need fresh rice. It calls for like basmati rice. I'm using white rice because that's what I have a lot of, and basmati rice is a little pricier. And it just calls for canned kidney beans and some odds and ends, and it's another basic meal, but tummies are fed. Jazzing it up with chicken pasta salad, and this recipe specifically calls for canned chicken, and we have some canned chicken from previous food bank visits. And a lot of times when pasta salads that are cold call for chicken, I use canned chicken. That is also just a taste preference we have. Another basic meal, you can use any pasta shape recipe. It calls for shells, but if you have something else, then use that instead. And mayo, those basics. And honestly, with recipes, and I do this a lot, if it calls for one thing and I have something else that's similar, I'm going to use that. I like to use the recipe as, guidelines. As Jack Sparrow would say, if you're of a certain generation, you'll get that. Here is where things might get a little pricier. This is our call extravagant meal of the week. And this week I use a cookbook for my personal challenge of using my cookbooks once a week, or my recipe binder, and this week is a cookbook. And this is a cookbook, gosh, I think it was my parents that they got on discount from Borders. So you know how long ago we're going, and it is grilled sesame chicken with ginger rice. Did I get that right? Hang on. That is correct. I don't have a grill. I'm going to be buying a frozen bag of grilled chicken, and I don't think I'm going to need it all for this recipe, so that means I will get another use out of that bag of chicken. And it calls for ginger paste, but I have frozen ginger in the freezer. Of course, I'm going to be just using what I have. And it didn't, come with a suggestion of what to pair it with, so I'm just going to get some fresh broccoli and sugar snap peas and roast that with like soy sauce or something. But I will say that will be the pricier meal of the week. Although this next meal could be counted as pricey, I just happen to have the ingredients. This is crockpot Hawaiian meatballs with white rice, my mom's favorite. And when she found out we had a bag of frozen meatballs, she was like, oh, for those Hawaiian meatballs I like. So I just have to get the pineapple and the peppers for it. It calls for white rice. This is a rice heavy week, but on a budget. You're going to have some hefty rice meals, most likely. Brown rice even. But yeah, and then leftovers. More if we can swing it, which then means one of these meals will roll into next week. But this was this week's edition of scrounging, budgeting, and being basic. But yeah, let me know if you guys are changing up how you're eating because of prices and things like that. When I placed my Instacart order for Monday pickup, I was super conscientious of what that final total was going to be, because sometimes I do allow it to go above what the week's allocation is, and we'll just make the next week lesser. But I was really paying attention to that number, and I came in under, so that's pretty neat. But yeah, that's just how it's going here. I try to look at it as a challenge, a fun, personal challenge, instead of freaking out about it. Who am I kidding? I'm freaking out about it, but I'm trying to make it a game, just so I don't lose my mind. Okay. I hope you guys are doing okay with everything going on. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.